hurt me more than words could say, but I stayed and made a home. I was built to love, not leave, even when I felt alone. You used the warmth that I gave you like it was yours to spend for free. But every scar you gave my heart was a deeper strength in me. And I forgave you every time, not 'cause I was weak but brave inside. You took my love and crossed the line, but I still stood by your side. Each time I let you in again, you came back harder, cold as stone. But I was never made to run. I was made to make a home. Called it fate when things went wrong, but you knew just what you did. Not by chance, it was your choice, and still I always let you in. I never asked for perfect love, just honesty and grace. But you were my kindness like a mask, and vanished without a trace. I forgave you every time, not 'cause I was weak but brave inside. You took my love and crossed the line, but I still stood by your side. Each time I let you in again, you came back harder, cold as stone. But I was never made to run. I was made to make a home. This pain, it wasn't mine to carry, it was yours all along.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Steve Calloway, Steve Calloway 1 on YouTube, and we're here doing my reaction and my thoughts and feelings about Angelina Jordan's new songs. This one being Home from her spectacular, wonderful, magnificent, timeless album, Secret of the Soul. Let's go ahead and get busy right now.
Hurt me more than words could say, but I stayed and made a home. I was built to love, not leave, even when I felt alone.
Okay, once again, Angelina, I am, okay, right there. You know, we all hope for the happy life and meet somebody we love and spend our life with them. I think everybody wants that. Most everybody, I would guess. Doesn't always work out that way, but you know, so we try again, right? Maybe we find the right person down the road. But you know, it's there's no equality in a relationship. I don't think you can try to make it equal, but uh, each person's contribution to the relationship is different than the other person's contribution. There's some things that are alike and similar and pretty close, but it's not that way. Let's go ahead and listen to some
Use
more.
the warmth that I gave you like it was yours to spend for free.
Yeah, that's something that happens. Oh, there's times when you're close and everything's nice, lots of hugs, lots of kisses, lots of I love yous. There's times when is that's the best, really. That's the best, especially when you both mean it when you say it and you have reciprocal feelings at the same time. But this one is, you know, obviously who wrote the lyrics would be, I guess it's Grandma Mary, right? Felt that they were giving their share to make things work, and then it wasn't appreciated by the other person. To spend for free. When you have the warm feelings and love for somebody, it takes so much from you in a way. It's supposed to be a partnership as best you can make of it, where you both feel for each other. But sometimes if there's inequality in the feeling of that, then that's where troubles lie, right? Let's go ahead and listen some more.
But every scar you gave my heart was a deeper strength in me.
This is what I really like about these lyrics and Angelina's, Mary and Angelina singing the song and the music. This is the positive message that even though there's been hurt and pain, hey, we've all been there, right? But it makes you stronger in the end. Was a deeper strength in me. You have to go. Sometimes you can run through life, and a lot of it's just superficial. It's not really deep. It's just you're putting on appearances or whatever. But then when you do get that deep one, that's what hurts the most when things go wrong with those kind of relationships, because you really feel like, I'm really invested in this. Not that I need to have a return, because I don't. That's not it. But I just would yearn for that, what I feel is the same feeling. And it's let's go on.
And I forgave you every time, not 'cause I was weak but brave inside.
Yeah, it does. Forgiving somebody is one of those kind of things. It's like love in a way. You have to forgive with no expectation of anything in return, I think. And you also have to love without any expectation in return. However, once we give of whatever it may be, whether we forgive or we love somebody, there's a natural. It's the nature of all things that there has to be a balance there, right? And when it's out of balance, then things go wrong. That's my feeling. And I've been there. We've all been there. You forgive not because you're weak, because when it comes from your heart, you're brave, but brave inside. When it comes from inside forgiveness, it's different than just saying I forgive you and then walk away from the situation, whatever it might be. You didn't mean that. You just said it. It's not the words, it's the actions. And anyway, let's move on.
You took my love and crossed the line.
That's so hard, Taking someone's love and crossing the line, basically to me means betrayal, dishonesty. It could mean lack of reciprocity, but I don't think that's. I think crossing the line has to go a little deeper than that, or a little more serious. Although anything in a relationship that's not making the relationship work good is serious. You took my love and crossed the line. Yeah, I've been there. I'm sure you all have too. You love somebody, you trust them, and you don't want to restrict their pursuit of their dreams and wishes and the things they want in their life. But sometimes if that takes the form of another person, that's way crossing the line, way crossing the line. And can you forgive somebody for something like that? Yeah, you can, and you can kind of mean it, but it might take some talking to yourself to get it through that, okay? Or talking to somebody else. Let's go.
But I still stood by your side.
Yeah, so I felt that way too. I felt that I've given, I've bent over backwards. Now listen, when I say this stuff, it's me talking to you, right? There's always two sides to the coin, and I recognize that it takes two to tango, but it also takes two to come apart. If there's not two parts, you can't come apart, right? So there's two people involved in a situation, and I can point blame at somebody else. They can point blame back at me, and they both can be valid complaints in a lot of ways. But still, I stood by your side. To me, that's important. Standing by your loved one's side, that's when you're needed the most is when things are bad. That's when you need to be there. Some people say they want their space. Yeah, I always had a tough time with that one. That means something different to me. It doesn't mean you need time to think and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's it. But for me, it means that's the beginning of the end. But, it doesn't have to be that way, but it's the way it seems to have worked in my lifetime. Let's go keep moving.
Each time I let you in again, you came back harder, cold as stone.
Doesn't that seem to be the way it is? When things are going bad and they just keep running bad, you try to forgive, you try to let somebody back in, you try to make it work. And then when they come back, they have seems like a stronger resolve to end everything. They might try for a little while, might put in an effort for a little while, but if it's just superficial, if you don't really want to be there, what's the point? Then now you start creating all these other feelings, and they're not good feelings. They just hurt.
But I was never made to run. I was made to make a home.
So I was never made to run. I was made to make a home. That's a beautiful thought. And if everybody felt the same way, I think you could work your way through most things. Some things, I don't know if you can work your way through. You can try, but that's where the coldest stone thing comes in. Sometimes there's certain things that are going to be way over the line, deal breakers, if you want to call it that. And but I think there's other things where you need to be there and make it a home. It's so nice to come home to a warm, loving home. It really is. It's the best. And that's what everybody should want and crave, I think. That's just me. Let's go.
You called it fate when things went wrong, but you knew just what you did.
Called it fate. Oh, that's one name for it. When things went wrong. I go back to the same thing. I think that oftentimes if there's problems, it's not just the one side, one person that's causing all the problems. In some small way, I think the other person's a contributor. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to deflect blame. Clearly in some of my relationships, I like to say, well, I don't like to say, but I like to, my first marriage, I was a terrible husband. I won't get into too much detail, but we got married because we had to back in those days, and she was a great girl, good person, but things went south, and it was mostly I would take 98% of the blame on that one. I was too young, I was too stupid, and I was too full of myself to be a good partner in a relationship. Second marriage was a whole different thing. I was looking for somebody strong who might be able to reel me in. But It didn't go that way. It did for a while, but I wasn't looking for the right thing. I wasn't looking for just a good, solid love. I thought I was in love with the person. I really did. I was going to really try to make it work, but it didn't work. And the last one was the worst one. Didn't learn my lessons from the first two, and things went so far south it was unbelievable. And that was the one I was certain was going to be my last marriage and be the one that would work out. So this, everybody knows what they did wrong. The only difference between people is how well they cover up what they did wrong if they don't want to share it with the other person. And there's things you probably don't want to share with the other person. Let's go.
Not by chance, it was your choice.
Yeah, it's always your choice. Well, it just happened. No, that doesn't work. I was drinking with my friends and it just happened. No, that still doesn't work. You chose to go drinking with your friends and put yourself in an environment where things could go wrong. And, it's really comes down to your choice. You make your own choices. Where are you less likely to get in trouble? Sitting home with your wife watching TV or going out to the local bar with your buddies? I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? Let's go.
Still, I always let you in.
Sometimes, let me finish this up here.
I never ask for perfect love.
She always, in this particular, using these lyrics in this, I'm trying to navigate the relationship part. I want to make sure everybody's included in my conversation here, but I can only get it from my perspective, I guess. When you get let back in, when you get away with stuff and you get, still you're there, still things are pretty good. I think that at some point, if that doesn't bother you, there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't want to get away with stuff. And you shouldn't keep trying to get away with stuff. To me, you're not committed to the relationship. That's really it. And what does stuff mean? Well, you guys all know what stuff means. It could be a lot of things, but it usually comes down to a couple of things. And I never asked for the perfect love. Well, I think I've asked. I think I've tried to be a partner who was trying to have a perfect love. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. Can you have a perfect love? Well, I think you can. I believe. Been married 3 times, divorced 3 times. You know what? I would marry again if I found the right person, or not if it didn't seem to be in the plan for the two of us. So either way, I'm not. I kind of believe in marriage. I do believe in marriage, but I don't know that at my age I'll be finding a 4th volunteer. Let's move on.
Just honesty and grace. But you were my kindness like a mask and vanished without root or trace.
Yeah, when I heard this lyric, I mean this is the thing. And you vanished without a trace. That could be anything from spend the night together and get up in the morning. Somebody gets up in the morning and leaves, and doesn't say anything, just out they go. That's one thing. Another thing would be not that you're physically gone, but you're gone, I guess we'll call it emotionally from the relationship. You're no longer that attached or that invested, and you're looking for the door. And you can feel that ahead of it happening. Usually you can feel it. Now, sometimes it can take you by surprise. But, I know in my last marriage that I was taken by surprise. But I think my stubbornness wouldn't let go. And it did me no favors in that situation. It also allowed a lot of room on the other side to take advantage of my weakness. Let's go.
I forgave you every time. Not 'cause I was weak, but brave inside.
I get this, You might think forgiving somebody every time is weak, but it's brave inside. You know why it's brave inside? It takes a lot to forgive somebody and to mean it. That's the brave part. You're giving of yourself. You're giving trust. You're giving love. You're giving, and acceptance. You're giving all kinds of stuff to the other person by forgiving them. And you have no control whatsoever what they're going to do with that, okay? So you have to be brave. You have to be brave to do it because you don't know what you're going to get back, and you shouldn't have any expectations. But if you're in a relationship with somebody, I think you got to expect that they want to make it work too, or I guess things are going downhill.
You took my love and crossed the line.
Yeah, I think that's bad. When that stuff starts happening, it's really a bad sign. You can have all kinds of reasons and excuses why something happens, but typically it takes two to tango. If you go out and you find somebody else, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't. You're walking down the street and it says, oh my God, this is the person I'm supposed to be with right here, this one. It doesn't happen that way. It could, I suppose, in a fairy tale, but in real life, you put yourself in circumstances and situations where it could happen. And then sometimes it does happen, and sometimes it's really not much. It isn't necessarily the right thing for you, but at the moment it seems like the right thing. And then down the road, oftentimes things go wrong. But it's oh boy, I'm gonna need a therapist.
But I still stood by your side. Each time I let you in again, you came back hard, cold as stone.
That just hits me. This lyric here hits me so close to home because that's how I felt. Actually, I think I was the stone in the second marriage. The first one, I wasn't even hardly there. I was out of control. But, I mean, I was, yeah, not, I guess it wasn't in the worst way. Remember what I just said about putting yourself in a situation? Yeah, I was living in that situation by choice for years. I put myself there, and I liked it there. Shouldn't have, but I did. Second time, I got my heart turned a little cold. It turned to stone at a certain point, and so I was on that side. Then the third time, I wasn't the stone anymore. I was the other. I was the other person. Man, does that hurt! All right, let's move on.
But I was never made to run. I was made to make a home.
Just quick on that lyric again. I think that I was never made to run. I was made to make a home. That just shows the commitment to the marriage, the relationship, whatever you want to call it, and or whatever it is, I guess. You're committed to that, and the person, of course, is part of that, and that's such a good thing. I don't know, let's move on.
This pain, it wasn't mine to carry.
Okay, so in this song and in these lyrics, and in our lives, mine too, the pain of this stuff, some of the pain is you getting hurt. Some of the pain is you've hurt the other person without intending to hurt the other person. And in a case like that, they're also hurt, so there's more pain. So it's pain on pain. Now you're living, instead of living a happy life, you're living a painful life. And as the lyrics say here, and Angelina sings, it wasn't mine to carry, the pain. It was yours. And that's a reflection of what I've been trying to say, is that, yes, the other person, in this case would be Angelina or Mary, whoever wrote the lyrics, with the intention of sending us a message. That person tried. That person did the best they could. That person forgave. That person bent over backwards to try to make things work. And in the long run, it didn't. So what do you do with that? You just suffer pain. You get anti-relationship. Is that what you do? People are meant to be together. We're not, in general, we're not solitary animals. We're more of a communal type animal. If you've seen the studies like on chimpanzees and apes, our closest relatives, they live in big groups. They don't live off by themselves for all kinds of reasons. But, it's our nature. Anyway, I wasn't meant to carry. It's yours.
It was yours all along.
So Angelina's perfect voice carrying us out here. Let me just finish that up. I think there's a couple notes left. Yeah, there are. Okay. There we go. Well, we don't have to look at Steve's thanks for watching comment stuff. All right, I guess it's there. It's going to stay there. I don't know how to back this up from where I'm at. I don't think I can. So anyway, whew. I said it during the video, I'm going to need a therapist to go over all these psychoanalysis that are going on. I think I believe of myself, and I'm no great person. I'm no wonderful person. I'm no Mr. Wonderful who did everything right. No way. I was never that. I thought that I tried. I thought I tried to fill my role in the relationship, which me being an old guy, the man, most of the time was a provider. And the lady would take care of the house. And could the man help out? Yeah, sure. Sometimes if we wanted to, it's see that flippant attitude, right? I like to mow the lawn. I did that kind of stuff. Took care of, fixed things that broke. That was my contribution, I felt, amongst other things. But then, then you always have your time together, and that's the, the best part of the relationship is that. Not cutting the grass. I mean, I liked doing it, but I didn't like it that much. Okay, and same thing. She did a great job. All three of the wives did a great job making the house a home. And well, I guess things don't work out. So yeah, I'm blubbering on about that stuff, but it's what we all deal with all the time in our lives, really. Like now I'm 70 years old. I got 2 dogs. I love my dogs. My dogs love me. It's not the same as having a girlfriend, a wife, whatever. It's not the same. But currently, I'm quite happy the way things are. But it doesn't mean I'm not keeping a watchful eye for somebody who might make a good partner for me. But we'll see what happens. I'm not trying to ask anybody out on a date. I'm just saying what a lot of you probably are thinking. It can be a little lonely at times. I really haven't felt that too much because I think making these videos, that gives me something to do that I feel is productive. So if you have a purpose, regardless of what that may be, it's a good thing. So that will do it for this video. Wow, that was a long one. I talked too much. This was a longer song than most of them too. I'm going to blame the song for part of it. All right, guys. Angelina, Mary, fantastic job. Awesome. Great lyrics. Great voice, Angelina. The melody is just perfect for the song. And, to me, every song on this album is an instant classic. That's just me. And what we've heard of the Christmas one, the last one you just put out especially, that could be on a 12-inch vinyl record in everybody's Christmas music record collection right now, I think. All right. Well, let's get out of here. I'll quit talking. Okay. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.